RCR with Paul Brennan, Reality Check Radio.
It's Thursday morning, which means our regular Money Talks feature here on Reality Check Radio. And of course, normally we have Faz and Irani to help us join the Money Dotson, but he's away this week. And our guest in the slot this week is Tony Knight of DeFi Freedom, providing a 101 on decentralized finance. And he is known as Kryptonite Knight, the Kryptonite Knight. A bit of background here. In 2015, Tony started researching cryptocurrency, blockchain, and decentralized finance. Since then, he's now involved in over 50 digital asset projects, including humanitarian projects and a decentralized digital bank. His prime focus is now dedicated to his business, DeFi Freedom, educating and building a community for freedom and health and wealth. And Tony Knight, the Kryptonite, joins us now. Tony, thanks for coming on our Money Talks feature this Thursday morning. Good to have you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me, Paul. It's really great to be able to, speak to you and maybe speak to a bit of a wider audience and sometimes the echo chamber that I'm in.
No, fair enough. We've just got a bigger echo chamber now, maybe. For people to visualize in their mind decentralized finance, how would that look?
It would basically, I think money has got two main problems, a debt problem and a distribution problem. And so the way I see decentralized finance looking is more for everybody, a redistribution of finances, of assets, of resources. I see ultimately decentralized finance is going to mean more for everyone. It's more of a peoples-based movement, and it's going to help ultimately, I think, provide more freedom in time and not maybe be so like a slave to the machine. It will help us come together and unite. It will give us more, moving away from centralization and this secrecy of centralization. It'll be providing more truth, more transparency, more direct knowledge of what's really going on, not just with money, but with information in general.
So money is part of the information system, I guess you could say. Could you?
Yes, and the way blockchain records all transactions, obviously monetarily, forever, and that it's immutable. And a decentralized blockchain I'm talking about, it's immutable, it cannot be changed. And it's also going to help us with other things like privacy in our identification, I think, in our personal details, and more transparency and appropriate privacy. So it's going to. Sorry, I lost my train of thought on your.
No, that's okay, because we'll get round shortly to whether the establishment will allow it to happen or not. But first of all, we hear the term blockchain a lot. What does that actually mean? What does that describe?
Yeah, so the blockchain is basically the fundamental foundation of how crypto comes to existence. So you could use the analogy of, say, the plumbing of your house. The blockchain is like the plumbing, and when you turn the tap on, out comes water. Well, in this case, you turn the tap on and out comes a crypto.
Okay.
They're not all created equal. It's important to know that blockchain is not just one blockchain. There's actually about 450 different types.
Wow. Okay.
Blockchain out there at the moment. So people tend to lump them all together, and a lot of people I know are fearful of a central bank digital currency.
Yep.
And so they lump that in with all digital currencies, and I think that's a mistake.
So how does it, why is it so secure? What is it about its design and I guess the way, because it's fundamentally software, isn't it? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's software. It's encrypted software. So the encryption provides, it's all code. It's all comes down to code. I mean, just like we have our code, it's called DNA. Basically, blockchain is an encoded system that creates, and it's like plasticine. It can be molded in many different ways and many different applications and many different use cases. So this is also an important thing to know. So it really is a ledger. It's a ledger that records all transactions forever. And,
okay. Yeah.
And then you could say it's decentralized through the distribution network, basically where you got transparency, where everyone sees everything. And it's verified by various nodes, what they call nodes or validators. The validators have computers that verify the network. So if there's anything foreign in there, then someone's going to pick it up. And to take it down, you'd have to take down every computer, every validating computer.
So that's not likely, is it?
No. That's basically not very likely. So there's a lot of people in the development of blockchain who are very, very focused on trying to move us away from this centralized control. And
so that ledger that you talked about, that sort of permanent, encrypted, never-ending ledger, is that the role of the current banking system? So does it replace that? Does it?
It's ultimately, I believe it is going to replace that, and I believe that it's already well and truly on its way. And I think that there's a new banking system coming that I think is imminent in the next 12 to 18 months at least. So basically
12 to 18 months, that's not far away.
No, it's not far away. I believe most of it is all done, but they're waiting for, the right time. They're sort of like prepping us, at the moment. But I think that they've been working on this for decades.
When you say they, who's they?
When I say it's a collection, or there's all different people. Initially, when Bitcoin was released, Bitcoin was the first crypto, and that was the first blockchain as well. You've got to have the blockchain and the crypto come together.
Right. And
that, I think, was worked on by DARPA, the deep state sort of...
The Defense Research Establishment.
Yeah. And or NASA, sorry, not NASA, NSA,
National Security Agency, yeah.
So I think it was one of them. Whether they're...
Why is it always them? Hey?
Well, because that's why they're centralized, I guess.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right. Because that's the deep state, as we call it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the heart of the DARPA research labs. This is where they create all types of different technologies and where they experiment on all sorts of things. That's very nefarious. We won't kind of go there, but I think what happened was that they knew that the financial system has a shelf life, like everything has a shelf life, and they knew it. So they came up with this Bitcoin, I think, to sort of partly to get people excited about it and to lure people in. I know there's a lot of controversy around Bitcoin. There's those that absolutely love it, and many people do love it. And then there's many organizations that I think are trying to use it as a form of type of soft control. But I'm not. The technology of Bitcoin was absolutely groundbreaking. But what's happened is there's much better technology, I believe, that has come out since Bitcoin. But that spearheaded the whole thing. Now you've got developers, tens of thousands of developers all over the world working on all different kinds of projects and blockchain type initiatives, which are many of them working in a freedom humanitarian way. And I don't think we hear about that. And I think that needs to be aired.
Okay, we'll get on to more of that detail in just a moment. In terms of the different blockchains or the different variations, can we sort of think of those as like different currencies?
Yes, you can. Yes, roughly, you could say that each blockchain has its own different currency, but there's a difference between cryptocurrency and crypto assets. Most of them are crypto assets, or sometimes we refer to them as tokens.
Yeah.
Whereas cryptocurrency or crypto coins, normally there's only a handful of true currencies that are going to be actual global payments. You know what I mean?
Yeah, accepted.
In the form of cash, as a cash replacement. So it's good to know that there will be other alternatives other than a central bank digital currency.
Yeah, because that's the big fear out there, especially many of our listeners. They don't want to see that.
No, exactly. And I don't want to, no one wants to see that. I've done a lot of research on the CBDC. They could be done if they wanted to, they could do it in a much more benign and non-trackable, non-programmable way, in the sense of, GPS tracking and switching money on and off. They don't have to do it like that. But of course, they want to emulate their own agenda. But this is where decentralized finance can offer a real valuable alternative to that. And they will not be able to be stopped because there's so much development on it. Once the technology is released, it can't be stopped. They can only try and control it through the price and through manipulation in the external way, but they can't actually stop the technology. They can only try and mothball it, if you like.
So it seems that the banks or the banking system, and already we're seeing physical branches just evaporate. They're disappearing, obviously. So that's a sign. But they must be under some sort of extreme competitive pressure at some point from this new disruptive kind of reinvention of how we do money. What days are numbered, are they, for that old system? You're basically saying they are, aren't you?
Absolutely. I've been on a fly on the wall in a couple of Zooms where they were talking with the bank heads and the technologists who are developing these new banking systems, open banking, they call it open banking, APIs, So what's happening is that now banks, the traditional bricks and mortar banks, are now having to, they have competition in the form of what they call fintechs. And fintech stands for financial technology.
Yeah. And
fintech companies are the ones behind bringing out a lot of these new cryptos. And the banking sector, I think, is first in line. If people research this standard, it's called the International Standard Organization, have a new messaging standard called ISO 20022. If you research that is, you're already starting to see it with banks doing real-time settlement now of your money. When you pay online, it used to go overnight or you had to wait the whole weekend. Now they'll virtually go instantly, even if it's from a different bank. That's actually a crypto in the background that's affecting that to happen. That's part of the new technology that they're just drip feeding out to us. But there's a whole lot more to come. And it means that I think banks as we know it are over. We're going to see these new decentralized digital banks. We're going to see cryptocurrencies and our own wallets. We have wallets where we can self-custody our own money. We have control of our own money. That is a big, giant step forward from.
So we don't have to deposit it in an institution like a bank, and we're not unsecured creditors if they go under.
Correct. So this is where people need to start focusing their attention, is on all the positives that can come out of this technology explosion. I mean, it's really going to be a revolution, and it's going to affect our social structure in so many ways, because blockchain can also be used for things like media. You have decentralized media. You'll be able to supply chain, all sorts of other things, because blockchain can house information. Like social media is being developed onto the blockchain as well, where you can have censorship resistance, where you can speak freely, where you can get your truth out there without being censored. That's going to be also very powerful. And they will probably be linked in with payment systems on the blockchain as well.
If I was the elite, the power establishment, I'd be sitting watching all this thinking, we can't have this.
Well, that's why there's a lot of distraction going on. That's why there's a lot of fear and misinformation, disinformation being pumped out left, right, and center. If the market is going up, they FOMO with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the new thing. If it's plummeting, they talk about, is this the end of crypto and blah, blah, blah. But meanwhile, what they're trying to do is also market the central bank digital currency, because that's their way of continuing to keep control.
And the money flow, because it's all in the end, it's all about wealth, isn't it? And who gets the money?
Well, yeah, exactly. And they don't really want us to be wealthy. They actually want us to be a slave to the factory machine. They want us to be kind of just, paying our taxes and behaving like good little boys and girls. They don't want us to be getting ahead. This is why they have their financial, they have the kind of accredited investor situation, and really the people that have money can continue to make money because they're operating in their own kind of economy.
Even legal tender. What is legal tender?
Legal tender, basically means government forced. That means government forcing you to accept this currency. But legal tender and cash has been great, but now with inflation and with the debt, the money is being debased, and inflation is eating it away. But also, cash is really a note. They call it, you have a $100 note. It's actually a debt note. It's actually a piece of paper that can be the debt that can be called in on you at any time. And really, that's where we're getting to, is the end of that whole Bretton Woods American petrodollar situation is coming to an end.
So with a digital wallet, once the currency, the cryptocurrency, whatever goes into that has nothing to do with the bank, nothing to do with anything like that. It's just your device or your account, which is what, part of the blockchain? Is that how it works?
Yes. So the wallets, yes, you have your own custody over your wallets. You have what's called the private keys. No one can get into that wallet unless you give your private keys out.
Right.
And the wallet itself is like an interface or a window into where your crypto are held on the blockchain. So the crypto is not held by Mr. Google or Mr. Apple in their wallet. The wallet's a facilitation, so you see your crypto on the blockchain.
So what server, what data center, whatever, do they sit on, or are they on multiple platforms?
They're basically housed in the blockchain. The data server is the blockchain itself.
Okay, but
so the
someone must
blockchain-
physically operate that, right?
Sorry?
Someone must physically operate that. It's a physical entity somewhere, isn't it?
The information that goes in the blockchain cannot be, there's obviously developers to make sure it's running smoothly, but no one, including even the creators of the blockchain, can monitor that. They can't change. As I say, it's immutable. You cannot change any transaction that goes on a blockchain as long as it's decentralized. It is completely beyond the reach of anyone, including the creators of the blockchain.
Yeah, but for those or wherever it's housed, that's what I'm trying to sort of visualize. If those people say, "Hey, we're sick of this, we're walking out the door, no one's supporting this anymore," what happens to your cryptocurrency?
That's it. It's self-running. I mean, once the blockchain is issued,
Oh, okay, all right.
it's always there permanently. And I think what's happening is that the blockchain will become the blockchain internet. The whole internet will eventually be blockchain, and websites will be on the blockchain. They're already you can send money to your own website on the blockchain. I can do that now.
Okay, so I'm just trying to get my head around, what the blockchain is, and I've got a concept of it's something operating on a server somewhere, and data goes in, data goes out. But the way you're talking, it's like a whole ecosystem.
Yeah, it's a whole ecosystem. It's exactly what it is. And so we can't use the same thinking that we use for the existing system for the blockchain system. It's like you've got to throw out the rule book, and it's a paradigm shift. It's a completely different way of operating. The blockchain is like, you can imagine, like different blockchains are like carriages on a train.
Yep.
You could say a subterranean. It's more like submarines.
Yeah.
And as they get more and more, now what they're doing is they're connecting them all up. So there's going to be seamless interaction from one blockchain to the next. But if your crypto are held, or if you are holding your crypto on a decentralized, structure, on a decentralized blockchain, then that will always be only viewable by you, and you can send your money peer to peer without any middleman. The key thing is also peer to peer transacting. And transacting is really the most ancient form of relating. This is how relationships are formed around buying and selling and trading. And peer-to-peer is person to person, no middleman. That's cutting out a lot of fees for the banks. That's really...
They won't like that.
They do not like that. That's cutting their lunch big time. So
I'm just thinking, even bigger than that, governments. Okay, they want to tax their citizens. And they can, if I don't pay my rates, the council can literally go into my bank account and take money out if it comes to that.
They can. And they did it in Canada with the truckers. And
they froze their accounts. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Yeah.
But so I'm just wondering with, the blockchain, if your money is only accessible to you, you can refuse. You don't need to pay anything. And okay, they might heavy you and stuff, but unless you let it go, no one can get any money out of you. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Ooh.
That's totally correct. That's one of the main reasons what impelled me to get into this. And then the more that I've gone deeper into it, the more and more there's so much to explore with the sort of finer details, like your identification being completely also, no one can get to your ID either.
So you don't need a driver's license or a passport or anything, just...
You still use your driver's license and passport, but what they can do is they can put those details into what's called... Now I'm going to move into another. It's called an NFT, or non-fungible token. Yeah,
we've heard of them before. Kind of know what they are, but carry on.
So they're a unique identifier. They're a digital product that's created that can house information and then they are easily transferable by a cryptocurrency via blockchain. But they're non-fungible, so that means there's only one of, and there's only one of me, there's only one of you, and you can have our private information, including our health information, our passport, and it cannot be broken into. It's completely encrypted. I actually had my computer got hacked, and I had a number of NFTs, and they could not steal my NFT. They could not take my NFTs. So they are going to be huge, I believe, going forward for our privacy of that sensitive information. But the NFT has another application in that it can be used for intellectual property. It can be used for your music clips. It can house your artwork, digital artwork. But now it's becoming used to put things like your property title in there, and they're using it to do what's called tokenization, where all assets can effectively go into a NFT type instrument, and then it makes it easily bought and sold and transferred into speed of light for a fraction of a cent. And that's quite revolutionary.
That tokenization, I think was the word you used.
Yeah.
So we've kind of talked about that a little before on this program, but my impression was that basically any asset you have, you can tokenize, and even to quite small components within the overall value. So let's say I have a possession, I could say it's worth X amount of tokens, and I could theoretically realize percentages of the value of that item by breaking it down into tokens. Is that correct, or have I got the wrong?
Yeah, you're sort of correct. Yes, you could be valued in tokens like that. Also, what you could do is you could have fractional ownership. So say
I guess that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, that's what you're getting at, eh? So where you can all have a share in a valuable piece of property.
Well, yeah, let's say I've got a house and I want to free up some cash. I could sell some tokens in that house or that property. Let's say it's worth $1 million. I'll sell, 50,000 worth of value tokenized out of that and realize some value from it. Is that theoretically possible?
Yeah,
under that system?
Yeah, it is. It is. And when it gets launched out onto the world, which again, I think is about at least 12 or 15 months away, then you're going to see a real acceleration in things like that. And that's where the use case of crypto really comes into its own, because the crypto is the grease, the grease the wheels so that you can move those assets. So imagine selling a piece of your property to someone on the other side of the world instantly without
that's what I'm thinking.
Without any lawyers, without any accountants, because the thing is with blockchain, it does all the contracts as well. You can have digital contracts or automated contracts. So that's how you can get paid passively by another thing that you can do is called staking, and that can give you passive income. Staking is much like what the bank do with our money now, but we do it for ourselves. And so again, so we can put our money to work as well. And, instead of the bank putting our money to work for them and then saying there's nothing left, the cupboard's bare because, the debt's so big. This is another big danger with having relying on third parties. Banks, unfortunately, are they're not trustworthy. They're centralized. And so it's another big step away from that and towards a more people-based economy.
I take it works both ways. So if I want to borrow money for an asset, because borrowing's never going to go away, right? There'll always be the ability to borrow. Then cutting out all those middle stages, obviously clipping the ticket, you can basically have individualized sort of propositions for loan situations. So if I need to borrow 50K, I guess there could be thousands of options of where that could come from. And I look for the sharpest deal, right? And the interest rate or the cost of that money is not set by a central bank.
Exactly. You can borrow, you can lend, and it will be done all on the blockchain. And collateral, you probably, if you want to borrow money, you may have to put up collateral in the form of your cryptos, which get held in a sort of a contract that then, as you pay back, then it's all recorded, and it's all recorded, and everyone is happy. They're already doing borrowing, lending quite a lot on the blockchain. That is going to be a big area.
This is going to potentially reinvent the way we do everything we know, isn't it? This is what I'm thinking now, potentially.
Yep. It's the disruptor of everything.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is. It is. People don't realize how huge an impact this is coming. People think it's just scam coins and people just making money. It's not just about making money. It's not just about making money for me. It's about freedom and security and safety. It's about being able to transact privately without having someone giving me permission to do that. It's about being free on that level, freedom of movement, freedom of speech, freedom and money. It's very important because that's what keeps us operating in a physical reality. I mean, it's not about money. It's about the exchange of energy, and it's about storing value. That's what money is stores of value and a medium of exchange. And it's really you're exchanging one form of energy for another form of energy. And if you've got it secured in a blockchain, then you retain that energy free of inflation, free of debt, free of overseers who feel they know better than us.
Well, there are people, there are entities out there that want some of your energy. So I can see an epic, I wouldn't say battle, but face-off, let's say, coming as a result of this. And I wonder have you given any thought as to where that could end up?
Yeah, there's already been, I tell you what, there's already been quite a few face-offs. Because I'm an educator in the space and I've been in it a long time, I've been watching what's happening, particularly with the Securities and Exchange Commission in America, the SEC. You think they're the kind of basically the law of the whole world. And they govern securities. So they are trying to make all crypto a security. And so then it comes under their jurisdiction, you see. It's all about jurisdiction. And they're losing. The beautiful thing is they sued this company called Ripple, who have a crypto called XRP, which I believe is going to be one of the central tokens in this new banking system, by the way, and the ISO 222 massive standard. But all that aside, they sued them and they lost. So that has now been sanctioned and it's legal clarity as a currency. And that is a huge step forward for us, and it's a big knockback for them. But they are going to, obviously, they're going to throw out everything but the kitchen sink.
Yeah, the empire will strike back.
They will. That's why we've kind of got to double down with things like we can use other tools like hard wallets or cold wallets. We can hold our crypto offline. And that is a big thing. We can only use the decentralized wallets. We stay away from things like the ETF, exchange traded fund. They're making Bitcoin into an ETF, which makes it like an instrument, just like a stock, which is going to give them a lot of control. They're buying into these cryptos quite large, and they manipulate it via price, by pumping the price and then dumping. And that's the way to sort of herd people the way they want. But the fact is they can't directly, like I said, they can't directly touch the technology. The bizarre thing is once it's out there on the internet, unless they brought the whole internet down.
Well, that's a possibility.
Well, it is a possibility, but when you consider that they want to go into a full digital world, they would also be shooting themselves in the foot as well. So I think that will only be a short term. But even all that aside, that you can still use crypto offline via QR codes. I mean, whether people maybe like it or hate it, but the fact is you still will be able to scan using your phone on a code, which doesn't capture your information. It only does the transaction. They're quite safe, and the QR codes are becoming really popular for that as a backup.
Yeah. QR codes is mixed feelings on QR codes these days for obvious reasons. But I hear what you're saying.
I know, but again, it's the people behind it and how it's developed. It's not the tech or the actual code itself. It's how it's applied and how it's created and for what purpose, what intention are they doing it? Because they can make it safe or they can make it unsafe.
So in a way, this disruptive technology, which is about to sweep in, and you're saying in quite a short time frame, it's even though it's ultra modern, it's digital. It's kind of like the old days when you had like a farmer swapping an animal for the guy with a whole lot of firewood or something like that. There are no middlemen, and it's just a straight transaction. No one else involved. No taxation. It's sort of like going back to original stuff in a way.
Sort of like that in a way, but using technology in a way, using the technology to take us back to people.
Direct,
person to person. Exactly. I mean, you touched on, I think blockchain is going to be amazing for a lot of humanitarian projects.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier. Just explain what you were meaning there.
For example, charities, there's no more corruption almost than in charities. The charities are just so corrupt. I mean, so much money gets money laundered through charity. It's not funny. So the blockchain will be able to stop all that nefarious stuff. Because as I said before, a lot of people think that we need absolute privacy. But that's only a reaction to the current centralized system. Imagine if everyone could see what everyone else is doing. You've got transparency across the board. That's going to level the playing field.
Well, trust comes back into it then, doesn't it?
Trust, then you can trust. And then you've got the validators who are verifying the transactions. And then we're just wanting to get on with our business and do our transacting. And the only corruption is coming from the powers that were, the powers that soon will be were. And so, they're the ones who don't want to have their transactions seen because they have developed software now that can track everything, you see. And those big money movements stand out like
proverbials.
So when everybody can see what everyone else is doing, it's going to completely eliminate the fraud because it becomes a self-policing system. And absolute privacy can give them absolute privacy as well. So what we want is distribution with privacy in appropriate areas like our ID, like our sensitive information. And also what's translated on the blockchain is just a big, long number. It doesn't give you name and address or all of that. And so it takes quite a lot of work to figure out who has actually sent that transaction. But then applying that to charities or applying that to sports clubs or other humanitarian projects, everything can be put on the blockchain. Everyone can see what's going on. And then there is no money laundering, no corruption can happen on a properly decentralized blockchain. And I think that's could be huge. And you've got all other areas. You can think of any area of life and it will become blockchain enabled. from businesses itself going on the blockchain, their websites on the blockchain, moving money on the blockchain, social media and other media blockchain, even governments can go on the blockchain because they can do what's called a decentralized autonomous organization. It's DAO for short. And a DAO is a self-running, basically, operation that hardly needs any labor input, and it's all run automatic. So you on a digital world, you could easily automate your business. The AI will take the money and all that, and then there's another.
Any jobs left?
Yeah, but I listening to some of these AI guys, I think a whole new types of jobs are going to be created.
Okay.
They thought that jobs were going to go in the PCs and the computers. They thought jobs were going to go when the internet came out. Now they're saying the same with AI. But I think that it's just a reorganization of jobs, and people will need to retrain. But I don't think it's going to be a huge loss of jobs in the longer run.
Okay.
Maybe in the short term, yes.
Couple of questions to wind up as we head towards time here. At the moment, it seems the world is completely laden with debt, overburdened, you might say, especially the United States, putting on trillions just in recent times. I think they're well over 100% of GDP in debt, maybe getting close to 200%. Something's got to give somewhere. So what happens in a transition to this when you've got, a collapsing global financial system potentially at the same time? Can you see a way through?
Yeah, but it's going to be messy. It'll be a bit chaotic at first. The debt has, obviously the bankers, central bankers, they don't want to be. They want us to be responsible for their debt. They want to make us the guarantors.
They'll bail us in, won't they? That's how
they want to try and bail us in. And there is also, a certain asset grab or land grab that's starting to happen as well, which is quite worrying. But I think with the blockchain and with decentralization and with enough of us going in there and participating, this is one of the reasons why I'm out there trying to raise awareness on it, because the more of us that participate in that, we create our own people's parallel economy. And then that debt should fall on its own. They should fall on their own sword and basically let their debt. That's why they're trying to create inflation. Ultimately, I think if the US dollar goes down further, hyperinflation could hit, which will help. Yeah, they want to eradicate their debt while holding us to ours. And so how that happens, how that's going to look, I'm not sure, but I'm glad that blockchain is there as a barrier to help us, because it's debt-free money. It's our own money. It's created. Obviously, there's not a lot. The thousands of tokens that are out there aren't all going to survive. A lot are going to go. We have to be wary of the scams. But I think that the debt is, they're going to be looking for a new home for it. And I just hope that, they're not successful. But it's a big question which I really don't know. But I think that there will be chaos as they try to. It's the derivative debt. It's the debt.
It's gigantic.
It is quadrillions. It's such a big number. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
and that is their biggest problem. That's underpinning their whole system. And so it'll come down like a deck of cards when that pin gets pulled. Oh, my God.
But if you've bought up reliable cryptocurrency in the meantime, you'll have something, won't you?
Well, that's exactly right. We will have something, and there will be a bleeding in process. I think the real world, like we said with tokenization, real world assets, the way I see the world looking is real world assets will be tokenized on the blockchain for security and safety and for transferability. And we're going to see we're going to see a mix of the best of both worlds.
Right.
There will be gold and silver will probably come back as money.
Yeah, well, they never go away, do they? So
You'll see US dollar having to share the reserve status with maybe BRICS creation or something else.
yeah.
You're going to see the world going more and more digital, and either the debt's going to get written off or it's partially, going to be, basically, I hope that some of those organizations just go down on their own ship, and they basically the debt just kills them. And basically, we reinvent ourselves anew on the blockchain, but real world assets and a much lower debt ratio.
And last question, future of cash. How long do you think cash has got to go?
I think cash will run alongside crypto for some time, but what they're starting to do already is they are digitizing cash as well. Oh. It's called a stable coin. So if you want to research that, stable coin is like a digital representation of at the moment, it's just for US dollars. But I know that the Australian dollars are digitizing their Australian dollar. And I know the Reserve Bank here are working on a digital New Zealand dollar. So I think the stable coin will be the next step, and then cash will slowly bleed out. But I think it'll take a few years. It's good to have cash in the interim as a transition and as a community kind of money. But eventually we'll go cashless. But I don't think it'll be as soon as what people think. And we'll have time to get used to this stable coin, which is sort of somewhere in between a CBDC and cash. It's going to be kind of less onerous than CBDC, but not quite as good as a decentralized crypto.
Right.
But that will help to facilitate. That'll be the linkage that helps us to facilitate buying in and out of crypto, and it'll be another form of money that, in many ways, will probably keep cash going longer because they have to have cash backing it, or
and you have to be able to still have something if the power goes off.
Yeah, well, yeah. If the power goes off, you still need cash. You're still going to need, or we might just have to go to barter. That's why I'm a great believer also, and I'm trying to cover all my bases. I grow a lot of my own food. Yeah. We have a nice little community here. We're basically off the grid with power, and I've been working on protecting myself for years on all levels. I'm not just focused on the money. I'm focused on everything, pretty much.
Yeah, well, I can tell, and compared to me, I'm just sitting here waiting to be taken out. I've done nothing, so maybe it's a good time to get moving on things like that. Where are you located? Just as a curiosity in the country, whereabouts are you? What part of country?
I'm in Auckland. I'm in a lifestyle block just north of Albany.
Okay, yeah, you know that area, yeah.
Yeah, in Lucas Heights. And I love it here, and we've got a bit of space, and but I'm a little close to Auckland for comfort in a way. But this is a great place for me to get a grounding, and being a lifestyle, a sustainability, and all of that. But I'll be happy to help you, Paul. If you ever want any guidance, I'm more than happy to help you.
Yeah, well, I certainly be interested in that, and so would many of our listeners, I think. So what's the best way? Have you got a website, or is there a way, some sort of page people go to, keep in touch, or make contact?
Yeah, the website's DeFi Freedom, DEFI Freedom.nz. Yeah. And they, a lot of people know me. Actually, I've got quite a large audience that were quite keen to hear this interview. So,
good.
I will definitely. I've got a few friends there, and I'll be definitely keen to promote it. But people can reach me through, Facebook. I'm on there as Crypto Night. They'll find me, or through the website. Yeah.
Okay, well, it's been really interesting chatting with you, Tony. Tony Knight, Crypto Knight. Thanks for coming on. And,
Yeah, you're welcome.
It'd be interesting to see what sort of contacts you get from people who've listened to this. So it's been an interesting 40 or so minutes. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no, well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate you. I know it's can be a little bit contentious area, but I just want to put people's mind at ease and just give them some positivity. I don't know,
Now there's a thing.
Yeah.
All right, Tony. Thanks so much.
Awesome, Paul. Great to meet you.
RCR with Paul Brennan, Reality Check Radio.